My name is Candace Cordelia, and I may look familiar as you've been watching PWI's YouTube channel. I am Face Turn with Candace Cordelia's Candace Cordelia. But today I'm doing a very special interview with Kaia McKenna. This is for the Bell to Bells and PWI Woman of the 500 interview series. Kaia, how are you? The good witch.
I'm doing fantastic. Like, to wake up this morning and the first thing I see is a million Twitter notifications of not only like my fans, my followers, but some really good friends like sending me screenshots like, "Oh my God, dude, did you see this? Did you see this? Like, this is so cool." Like, it was a great way to start my day. And I've definitely been able to like carry that positive energy with me throughout the entire day. And it's been wonderful. So I'm doing great.
That's so nice to hear. And it's so, I mean, we were talking a little bit before this interview, and it's just fantastic to see more women represented on this list and to have someone who, for yourself, you've only been in this business for about a year and a few months, and already you're on the PWI 500. How does that feel for you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, it's really exciting for starters. It's also like really, really kind of satisfying because when I started my wrestling career and I had my first match back in July of 2020, one of my goals for that entire year cycle was to make the women's 100, right? Like I was like, okay, let me see if I can grab this fruit. And then to find out that I made the PWI 500 was just like, oh my God. Like that was just so, I was so blown away and so taken aback and just absolutely honored to share a list with some incredible performers. And then just to your point that there's like such a select handful of women who make this list, and to be included in that group is just like, oh my gosh, it just gets me all in my feels.
It gets us all in our feels too, Kaia, seriously, because it's such a joy. And you're such a, as you were stating, we're alluding to, you're a positive person. You put out positive vibes. You are a good witch, okay, guys? Not a bad witch, a good witch, but you're also, as you state, the conduit of karma. So, I want to get into your beginnings as a wrestler. And I've noticed that you have started your training at the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, which is one of the most preeminent academies for wrestling in this country, if not around the world. How did you get involved with Black and Brave, and how did that training really evolve for you as time went on?
Okay, so little known fact here, before I went to wrestling school, I was a yarder, which is fine because the yard has produced some of the greats in the industry, right? Yeah. But you hit a point when you're doing that you realize like, okay, if I want to take my wrestling career seriously and I want to elevate myself as a performer, I really need to go to a legitimate, amazing wrestling school that's going to give me all the tools I need to be successful in this business. And at the time, like, Black and Brave fit the bill. They covered all the bases. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. I want to learn from one of the best in the world. So that's how I kind of got to that decision, right? You have like that epiphany moment where you're like, I need more. I need to do more for myself than what I'm doing right now. How do I get to that next level? And that was the natural next step for me.
What's some of the advice that you were given while you were training at Black and Brave that you just continued to take on with you and net all of the success at such a short period of time?
I think one of the things that they stress to us is like not necessarily to worry about things you can't do, but focus on what you can do and do that really, really, really well. Like, don't worry about becoming passable at something that you're bad at. Worry about becoming excellent at something that you're already good at. So getting that advice was really good for me because sometimes we get in our heads when we hit struggle points or we have growing pains, and you have to learn how to differentiate where it is important to invest time and energy and where it's important to just let it go. So that was excellent advice that I received. And another thing that like I just have always thought was cool is they were really, really big on telling stories through wrestling. Obviously, like the physical performance aspect of wrestling is incredible across the board. There's some very talented athletic people, but I also feel like there are a lot of people in wrestling who have amazing characters and can tell amazing stories in the ring. And just getting the encouragement to do that myself was just awesome, because that was my favorite part about wrestling was the theatrics, the storytelling, the acting, like the camaraderie, everything that goes along with the physical athletic aspect of the sport.
Certainly. And your character is very unique. I mean, you're into astrology. I personally don't think I've seen that much in wrestling, period, but it's really cool, and I assume that you've manifested all of these matches for yourself. Within the year, you've been in the ring with a lot of, equally wonderful talents like Holiday and Masha Slamovich and Little Mean Kathleen. Out of everyone that you've been in the ring with so far in this year, who would you like to have a rematch with?
Honestly, I would love to have a rematch with Masha Slamovich. I was very, very young in my career when I met up with her for the first time, and it was such a good experience for me to have as a performer. But I was just not ready for the force that she is and all the intensity and the training that she brought to the ring. And now that I feel like I've had a couple more reps and I've gotten to do some more things and go more places and train in a couple of different places with different people and really round out my style, I would love to revisit that match and see if perhaps I could come out on top this time and bring everything in that full karma circle, right?
The karma circle, exactly.
Yeah, I owe her one. She gave me a headbutt. I didn't know what hit me, and then I'm tapping out, and I got to redeem myself for that. And she's a very formidable, impressive opponent to have in the ring. So I would just be honored to have that rematch at some point in time.
I hope she watches this and it happens. We're going to both manifest that. We're both going to put that into universe for sure, for sure. Who else would you like to, and not even a rematch, but just any other wrestler that you have yet to be in the ring with that you would like to see that happen?
One of the places I wrestle quite frequently at is WWR Plus, and there is a girl there, Megan Bain, and she is very tall and she's a goddess and she's a force in her own right, right? But while she may be a goddess, I am a triple goddess. So I would love to get in there and mix it up with her and show her how a triple goddess rolls.
Oh, that you're just spitting all this fire today. It's the confidence.
And you guys got me. I woke up and you got me rolling this morning with all this positive energy. When I said I've been riding it all day, I was not kidding. I am using it to make everything happen that I want to happen within the next year. I think it's really important to have goals for yourself. Like obviously your overarching long-term goal of being successful in this business, but having like benchmarks along the way and things that are going to elevate you as a performer. And making this list has just inspired me to set new goals for the year that's coming up and just reach even higher and get better fruit,
Yeah. What are some of those goals that you have on your wish list for next year, for 2022?
I would love to have a match on TV. That's one of my goals for going into 2022. Now knowing my placement on the PWI 500, I would love to place higher on the list next year, just keep improving. I would absolutely love to wrestle opponents I've not wrestled before. I want to wrestle at promotions I've not been to yet. Like I would love to wrestle at places like AAW in the Midwest that have an incredible women's division that's up and coming. I would love to have more matches at Game Changer Wrestling with some of the top performers on the indies. I would love to continue to work at WWR Plus and challenge myself against some of the best female performers on the indies. I would love to have matches with people like Trisha Dora and Willow Nightingale, maybe a rematch with Riley Shepard and all of these women who are doing these wonderful things for our industry and elevating women's wrestling as a whole.
Those are lofty goals, but I don't have any doubts that you'll retain all of them, or you'll catch all of them rather, and put more notches under your titles, so to speak.
I would love to win a title next year. I think a nice shiny gold title would be an excellent addition to my Witchy altar.
There we go. What is on the Witchy altar of Kaia McKenna?
Well, all sorts of things. I feel like sometimes we see like these witches that are famous on social media and they make it out like you have to have this elaborate, beautiful, Instagrammable altar that looks like something you'd put on a Pinterest board. But to me, like things that should be on your altar are things that are deeply meaningful to you. It could be like family heirlooms. It could be crystals that mean something to you. They don't have to be expensive. They could be raw cut crystals, like jewelry, anything that brings you good vibes, like good money vibes, like nice, like flowers. If you have flowers that you really, really like, I mean, there's no like right or wrong answer to that. It should just be things that cultivate good energy for you. And it doesn't, like I said, have to be elaborate or expensive or like this thing. It's like the intention is not to like showboat it out to the world, but have it just be a special place for yourself to manifest your goals and dreams.
Yes, and I am wearing, you can't tell, you can see the string, but I am wearing a crystal. I have a citrine. I know some people say citrine, but I am definitely wearing my crystal. I thought it would be appropriate for this.
Yes.
So
lots of positive energy. Yes, that's excellent to have. I keep one in my fanny pack, believe it or not.
Yes, we're vibing here, Kaia.
Yeah, I keep an amethyst in my gear bag because it brings me peace. And I feel like no matter what chaotic energy is happening around me, because imagine that there's chaotic energy at a wrestling show, who would have thought? But to have that grounding element is sometimes very, very nice for me. And I can just like hold it or just sit on the floor in the locker room and just take a minute for myself and just, ground myself literally by sitting on the ground, literally grounding myself and bringing myself down and just being grateful for where I'm at and the experiences I'm getting ready to have. So that's a big part for me, I guess, like pre-match ritual too, right?
I like that. Do you have any other pre-match rituals, like say listening to music, or is that more so on the road? I definitely want to get into the music side of things with you, but anything else?
It's kind of weird. So I'm a very social, extroverted person, but like before I wrestle, I kind of come inward a little bit. I try not to get too much in my head, but when there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of distraction and like people chit chatting and chaos, I have a hard time focusing. So I'll typically like find a spot in the venue, in the locker room, where I can just really sit and really focus on what I need to do that night to put on the best performance I can for the fans and not let anything that's happening externally interfere with that energy flow. So that's like a big ritual of mine. It's like, it's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's very serene. I try not to like do anything that's going to like create like chaotic energy for myself. I try not to listen to like loud abrasive music or pound a bunch of energy drinks or any of these sorts of things, because to me it's about being centered and being able to be in control of yourself and your body in the moment so you have the best possible outcome in the ring. I like yoga. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of light yoga just to kind of slow my brain down. It can be very overwhelming wrestling, so to take a couple of breaths and get back to center is always good.
Yeah.
I love a good pigeon pose. Pigeon is the best.
Okay, Kaia. I wouldn't ask you to do the pose right now because that's a whole other, that's for another segment. That'll be
Google exists. We can look up pigeons. Somebody's done it somewhere.
Well, you're mentioning, grounding and really being peaceful within yourself and not getting into like the chaos externally. How did you get into wrestling? Because wrestling in and of itself is chaos, to be quite honest. It's very chaotic, it's very physical. How did this journey start for you? Who or what encouraged it?
Well, okay, I did a lot of martial arts as a kid. I have a background in Ishinra karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And, I've always just been a huge wrestling fan. Like I used to watch with my family, like we'd eat dinner on the couch and watch Monday Night Raw when I was growing up. It was like the event. So I had always been a huge fan of wrestling, but when I was growing up, it felt very pie in the sky. I was like, how do you become a wrestler? How do people even become wrestlers? Like, is that a thing? It just, because like people like Ric Flair and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, like they just felt like these superstars, like larger than life, right? Because we didn't have social media making everyone accessible. It was very, very difficult back in the day. I say back in the day like I'm old. I'm not old, but the overarching point being is it just felt like it was not something that was like reasonable, right? And then as I got older and wrestling became more accessible to me, I believe the turning moment is I was at a SmackDown with some friends and they were like, have you ever thought of doing this? Like, you would be great for this. Like, you do martial arts, like you love wrestling, like you're a wrestling nerd. You love like Japanese wrestling and like, lucha libre and like all sorts of wrestling, right? Like this would be great for you. And I was like, I never really thought about it, but yeah, let me give it a try. And then I just started helping out at local shows and meeting people and kind of, figuring out little different pieces of the business until I could put them together into somewhat of a puzzle that landed me at Black and Brave and got me here today. So that's the journey in a nutshell.
Wow. Which wrestlers did you grow up, idolizing and who you wanted to pretty much be?
I love Dean Malenko. I think he's an incredible wrestler. I think that he's like just so solid in the ring. Like he could wrestle anybody and have a great match. And I always just thought that was really special to be able to do that. I loved Eddie Guerrero growing up. I thought he was just such a good entertainer. And I feel like to this day, like I'll catch clips of stuff he's done that just like were such good moments. And like, you can't remember all of them, but like a couple of weeks ago, I was watching some older SmackDown and it was like the one where he stole the tires off JBL's limo and like rolled them out to the ring. And I was like, man, not only is this guy an incredible wrestler, but he just has like such a good grasp on storytelling and creating investment with the fans. And I've always loved that about Eddie. Oh my gosh, I love like a lot of Michinoku Pro wrestlers. I love like Super Delphin and Grand Naniwa. And again, because they have such good characters, like great Sasuke, I could watch that stuff all day. I'm just like a huge wrestling nerd. I love the great Muda. I think he's incredible. He's very otherworldly. So like I draw upon a lot of inspiration from him for myself, because being a witch, I feel like I'm very like supernatural and like very mystical and magical. And I just love that like enigma and allure that he brings to the ring, right? And then people like China, like she was just such a force. Like I'm tall myself, so it's like to see like tall, beautiful, strong women like China is always very, you know, influential and encouraging to someone like me.
Yes, I'm tall too, so tall women unite. I'm here.
Yes, absolutely. I love being tall.
Me too. Me too.
It's great in wrestling.
I would assume so. I really would assume so. Did you feel that when you started wrestling that there was some type of like that was presented as an obstacle for you? Did anyone say, "Oh, you're too tall to wrestle," or was it more so your strength that you just took to your advantage?
So like here's the thing is like I'm tall, but I'm not actually like a super big person. So I have the height. I don't have a ton of like big muscle on me, right? So it's like being in that middle spot where it's like, okay, like, you know, it probably wouldn't be advantageous for me to do like lucha against girls that are way smaller than me. Like that's just not going to be something that's an effective strategy for me. But I also could realize that I'm not going to be able to outbrawl every person I come across, because there are going to be people that are taller and stronger and bigger than me. So it's forced me to kind of create my own little like style of wrestling that I call pure magic. So it's like very technical based, but it's also like more power based technical wrestling. So lots of like judo throws and like chain wrestling that is more about power than finesse, and like maintaining control of your opponent and wearing them down slowly but surely as the match progresses.
That sounds very intense, but it sounds you. It really sounds fit for you.
Yeah,
100%.
you got to find like your thing and do what works for you, right? Like why do a style that everybody else is doing when you can pull like components of your favorite things and make up your own style in wrestling? Like I love that I can create this little like pure magic style that's truly my own, and the opponents have no idea how to prepare for.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You got to psych them out in one way, shape, or form, you know? So, with all of the matches that you've had within the year, which one of them was your favorite to just that you look back on and you think, oh man, I wish I could recreate this match? It was just magical, perfect, phenomenal.
I recently had a match with Riley Shepard at WWR Plus, and I really enjoyed having that match because she was someone that was also very technically sound, and she wasn't like bigger than me, but she wasn't super small. So it really kind of challenged my move set, and it challenged how I attack things in a match. And I felt like I could go very tit for tat with her. Like she scouted me well, I scouted her well, and it was a big challenge. And I just really enjoyed the challenge that match presented. And I would love to once again run it back with her, because I feel like we could create some more magic there.
We're just creating all the magic. We really are.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, is just making wrestling magical.
There it is. Speaking of making wrestling magical, what is it about wrestling that really you gravitated towards? What one element about it, you know, did you think to yourself, this is why I'm getting into wrestling, and this is why I do what I do?
Some light here. It's getting a little dark. Honestly, for me, it's the storytelling. I think I've touched on it before. I appreciate and respect the athleticism of professional wrestling, but I really, really loved that you could just become so invested and involved in these characters and like cry with them and cheer with them and like feel the emotions they're feeling, and that people could become super invested in wrestling through that capacity. Like the theater aspect of it is just absolutely fascinating to me. And I feel like it's something that nowadays kind of falls to the wayside in favor of athleticism. And I would just love to see there be a point in wrestling where we can be super crazy athletic and tell amazing stories with it. And it's not just this like divide, right? That we can bring these two things back together and just create more memorable moments within wrestling. Like, you know, sometimes you ask people like, what was their favorite thing in wrestling, or what do you remember as a kid from wrestling? And sometimes it is not always a wrestling moment, like an in-ring moment. Like a lot of people remember stuff like Stone Cold spraying everybody with the beer, right? Or you know, like Eddie Guerrero stealing JBL's limo tires, like stuff like that is not necessarily physically in the ring wrestling, but elevates stories and gives the wrestling more meaning. Like when you see things like that, it makes matches more meaningful when you're able to add these like foils and this like these dynamic arches to your story instead of it just being like we're having a match, right? It makes matches more meaningful to have that theater, and I love that. I think that's so cool.
Certainly. What advice would you give to another young girl who, they're thinking, I want to be like Kaia McKenna. I want to be the PWI 500. I want to have these amazing matches. What would you tell her?
I would tell her that it might be a little bit hard at first, but you have to remain confident in yourself, and you can't worry about what other people are doing. You have to worry about what you're doing. Go places, meet people, set up chairs, make opportunities for yourself. Don't wait for someone to hand you an opportunity. Go and take opportunities and make them happen, and just continue to like get better. And even on days when it feels like you're not getting any better, just remember that you're still inching along. Even if you're just moving along like a little inchworm, as long as you're having upward progress, you're doing things right. So just like stick with it, work hard, and like put yourself out there. Like don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like go and do the thing. Go to places, meet people, set up rings, have matches. Like just immerse yourself in it, and it will pay off to you in droves.
Very wise advice. Very wise. What do you have coming up for the rest of 2021? It's almost nearly over, but is there anything we should look out for in Kaia McKenna's Karma Land? Maybe I should say.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's see what's on the Kaia McKenna comeback tour. I will be at Combat Fights Unlimited on September 12th. I will be taking on Killa Kate. That will be incredible. It'll be like a women's blood sport style event. So I'm really excited to kind of wrestle that style of match and maybe tap into some strategies and techniques that I've not used yet. Looking forward to that. I'll be at Camp Leapfrog, and I'll be entering the Trail Mixer Battle Royal. So that will be exciting too. Can't wait to just blast some people over the top rope because there's nothing that says magic's against the rules. I will be at Catalyst Wrestling on the 17th against Valentina Vasquez. That'll be a first-time matchup. I'm super excited for that. I will be at Beyond Wrestling WWR, Masha's Borscht at the Beach on the 19th in Rhode Island. Opponent TBD, you'll have to stay tuned. And I'm trying to think, oh my gosh, I actually just started like loading my schedule up and just really kind of trying to get back on the horse and like wrestle as many people as possible. I will be at Higher Ground Wrestling in St. Paul, Minnesota on October 2nd. That's really, really exciting. Not been to Minnesota yet. Gonna have a great debut there, I hope. Just go somewhere different, meet some new people, do some new stuff. Oh man. And yeah, that's what I got for now. That's the big stuff. But if you stay tuned on my Twitter, I'll just post it all up and keep everyone well aware of what's happening.
We certainly will stay tuned. And please feel free to plug your Twitter, plug your Instagram, plug your pro wrestling team. Now's the chance to do so.
All right. I have Twitter and Instagram. The handle is at Kaia MCK. So KAIA MCK. You can find me on both those platforms. I also have a merch store, KaiaMcKenna.bigcartel.com, where I have all sorts of cool little witchy treats and photos. I've got 8x10s, enamel pins, cool little stickers with pugs on them that look like tarot cards. They're great. Just got some new shirts in, so check that out. Yeah, I try to keep it simple. That's where you can find all my stuff.
No, I love your stickers. And I was looking on your Twitter, someone recently, they were like, look at what I found. And they found one of your stickers in a public space and they just happened to send you a snapshot. It's those type of moments that are really special. And I'm sure, really encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, right? Because people are noticing seeing your stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I try to put my stickers up everywhere I go. Hopefully more people find them. I know I put some up on this last trip I made. So if you're in Chicago and you find a sticker, please send me a picture of it. There's definitely one around Logan Square Auditorium. If you can find it, I'll send you a surprise.
Oh, we love to hear it, Kaia. Thank you so much. Once again,
of course.
Congratulations. Really and truly kudos to you on this phenomenal accomplishment. You've only been in this business for a year and a few months, and you're really just rising upwards and onwards. So we can't wait to see what's next for you in store. Thank you so much. This is great.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this interview, and it's just been a wonderful day across the board. So appreciate you guys so very much. And thank you so much for the honor of being on the PWI 500.
You heard it here, everyone. And we appreciate you, Kaia. Thank you for tuning in. There's more wonderful and amazing interviews in store for this special account of Bell to Bells and the PWI Women of the 500 interview series. Once again, my name is Candace Cordelia. Don't forget to look at my show on PWI's YouTube channel. It is called Face Turn with Candace Cordelia. Don't forget to tune into Kaia McKenna's matches, whether it's in person or on the internet. I'm sure there are scores and scores of her matches you can find on YouTube alone. Don't forget to tune into Bell to Bells and PWI's content, both on social medias, on their websites, and with this interview series. You don't want to miss it. And last but not least, do not forget to pick up the latest issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. The PWI 500 list is out if you want to see if your faves have made the list, or if you're a wrestler yourself and you want to check out to see if you've made the list. Definitely do not wait to pick up a copy or order it online. Thank you for tuning in. I am Candace Cordelia, and this is Kaia McKenna signing off.
Later.